And I want to talk to you in this video specifically about how to actually sell the cash discounting. What's the opening pitch? What's the presentation like? How do you sell this? So what I've learned in going out in the field with this is that it's definitely what I call a conversation pitch. And let me explain what I mean by this. So certain things, you have a lot of objections you have to overcome, okay? So those are much more planned out presentations because you're really trying to kind of navigate this like minefield of objections. And I almost think of it like I have the prospect by the hand or with a rope there, they're holding on to the rope behind me and I'm trying to lead them through this path because I don't want to get that objection, I don't want that objection, so I gotta really like carefully plan every little thing out. And that's one kind of pitch. Then you have the conversation pitch. Now, a conversation pitch works really good where you're really confident that if the merchant understood what you were talking about, if the prospect understood what you were talking about, they would say yes. The problem is that they don't understand what you're talking about. And so you have to have a conversation with them to open things up. All right? So the opening pitch, in my opinion, the one that I've gotten a good response from out in the field talking to people about it is that you just talk about it. I know that sounds really obvious, but basically when you walk out and you meet a merchant, say, hi, how you doing? My name is James Shepard. I've got a local business in the area, and I just have a quick question for you. We've been doing payment processing for years. We go in, we set up the credit card machines, we do all that. It's so competitive. I mean, I'm sure you get calls constantly about that, and if I came in here offering you credit card processing services, you'd probably kick me out because it's like you get that pitch so often. Am I right? So like right off the bat, you just completely disarm the merchant and they're like, yes, oh yeah, we have no interest in switching, blah, 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 blah. And you're like, right. So here's my question for you, Mr. Merchant. This new thing came out. It was about 3 or 4 years ago. This law came out. It allowed us to do something called a cash discount. You might think of it as a surcharge, but it's a little bit different. But the idea is that what you can do is you can actually take all your prices in the store and you can say, these prices all represent our cash price. So that way when somebody comes up to pay, if they go to pay with a card, you can let them know the price is $10.50, but if you pay with cash, we'll knock 50 cents off of it and it'll be $10 because that's the cash price. So you can offer a cash discount. Now, when it first came out, to be really honest with you, John, I wasn't super excited about it because I thought I can't do that for my merchants because that's going to scare away their customers, and they're not going to want to do that because then their customers are going to come in and may leave because of that, thing. Well, the thing is, now they've been doing it for several years, and every study that's been done so far has shown no change in consumer behavior whatsoever. Not only does the business still process the same amount of cards, credit card transactions, but the people don't switch over to paying cash at all. So it's like no difference at all to the consumer. Also, this is really interesting too. In a study they did, 99.2% of the time, business owners that do this cash discounting said that their consumer didn't even ask about it. And the best part of it is if you start doing cash discounting, well, of course you can just stop, So I've really been thinking a lot more about it. I've started working with some of my clients to set them up with cash discounting. And my question for you is, what are your thoughts on all this? Have you thought about doing this? Because I mean, obviously I'm sure it would save you hundreds of dollars a month. Has it come across your mind yet? So there you go. That's the pitch to sell cash discounting because again, you have to get them into a conversational mode, completely disarm them at the beginning, talk about the cash discounting, and then slide into it. Okay, now, a couple of other things I want to talk about with this pitch real quick and about cash discounting and stuff. So in order to make this work, I want to talk to you about leasing the terminal. If you're going to lease the terminal, then as you're talking about the cash discounting and they're like, okay, I'm on board with it, you want to wait until the very end of the sales process to do the lease. Wait until like it's all a done deal. They're like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's do it. And then you're like, okay, now let me explain how much money you're going to save because, and this is where I wish, I've never made a video where I could explain the sales process correctly. Maybe I'll try one later, but you have to say something negative about what you have to offer. You have to say something negative about what you have to offer if you want to make the sale at some point. Otherwise, they will not trust you. People have the too good to be true thing going on, okay? So here's where you do that. What you do is you say, now, John, I do want to be really, really clear with you. Now, the cash discount is going to wipe out most of your fees, but not all of them. I'm not saying that we're going to process your transactions for free, but I mean, you're talking about probably 80% savings. Don't say 100%, probably 80% in savings. There's still going to be some monthly fees. There's a very different terminal. There's a different program that's in the terminal. It's more expensive to set them up. There is some cost for the equipment, things like that. So there's a few costs, but again, it's going to be an 80% drop, but I don't want to mislead you in any way. I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm just never going to pay for processing again. Well, right now you're paying $500 $100, you're probably going to pay $60, $70. So there are going to be some fees in there, some monthly fees, some equipment costs in order to make this all work. But the good news is it's going to save you a lot of money every single year. Now, are there any questions you have about that? So you want to do a line like that. That sets up the lease. Then when you go into the very, very end of it and you're going through the costs, just be very assumptive about it. Don't dwell on it at all. Okay, just talk about it real quick. Okay, so let me just break this down for you. So it looks like we're going to save you X. Then you have your, the monthly fee. Then you have this $29.95 a month lease. So that's in there. That's for the equipment. So you're going to get that new terminal and everything. And you just go through it. Okay, so that's really, really important. The other thing is, it's also really important to stress to them, and this is like super important, make sure the processor that you're with, you need to make sure that when you submit the application, you know how to make a note on there that they either need a 60-day trial or a month-to-month agreement. If you're going to do a long-term agreement, 60-day trial is fine, or a month-to-month agreement, because the merchant has to have a way to get out of the cash discounting. Okay, that's really important. Now, in practice, if they want to get out of it, you're just going to switch them over to a normal merchant account and not lose their business. But they need to have the peace of mind that they can get out of this if their customers don't like it. Okay, so hopefully that will help you. So that's the way that you sell cash discounting. Now, at the very end of the training here, I just wanted, at the end of this mini series, I just want to make it really clear one more time what cash discounting is. Okay, because I know it's really confusing. When I go into a business, let's say I'm going into a retail store, and let's say this retail store sells bicycles. And the average cost of a bicycle at this store is they have them for $100. Let's just say hypothetically. So I go in to buy a bicycle for $100. Okay? There's two ways that the merchant cannot pay the credit card processing fees on that bike. Either they can have the bike be $100, and when someone comes to the counter, they can say, okay, if you use your credit card, I'm going to charge you an extra 4%. I'm going to charge you a 3%, whatever. I'm going to charge you an extra $3. They collect that $3. They use that $3 to pay the fees on that particular bike. That's a surcharge. A cash discount is almost exactly the same thing, but it's the language that we use that matters. And as a sales rep, you know how important the words are. The words really matter. The cash discounting is them coming up to the counter, and the bike was $100. But when they come to the counter and they show their card and the person rings it up, they say, that bike is $103. We do offer, in this case, you would get a $3 discount if you pay with cash. So would you like to pay $100 in cash and get that $3 discount? Do you see that? Same thing, really. But it's when they come up, they're either saying, okay, the bike is $100. If you pay with a card, it's $103. That's a surcharge. With cash discounting, they come up and they say, that bike is $103. If you pay with cash, it's $100. So it's about what that price is. Now, the merchant, of course, has two ways they can deal with that, right? They can either change all of the prices in their store up 3% to be that price, and when people come up, they can offer them the discount. Or what most of them do is they keep their prices the same, but they just put a big sign in the door that says all prices represent cash discount. So it's already discounted for cash. When the person comes up, it's like, oh, well, the price is now this. The regular price is actually this. The price on here, this is the cash discounted price, as it says right here on our sign. So that is cash discount.